They act like they don't need anyone. Cold, detached, unmoved. But here's the truth. When an avoidant loves you, they won't say it. They won't admit it. They might even deny it. But their love leaks out in secret ways. Hidden signals, tiny cracks in the armor, clues that you matter more than they'll ever confess. And if you know how to see them, you'll realize you mean everything to them. The mask of indifference. At first glance, the avoidant seems unbothered. They act like your presence is optional, like they could take you or leave you. This is not because they don't care. It's because they've learned to survive by pretending they don't. From a very young age, the avoidant figured out that showing too much need was dangerous. They may have grown up in a home where emotions weren't safe, where vulnerability was dismissed, mocked, or even punished. So what did they do? They shut it down. They built a mask, a careful performance of strength, self-sufficiency, and distance. This mask says, I don't need you. I don't care if you stay or go. I'm fine on my own. But here's the paradox. The mask is most convincing when they actually care the most. Because if they let you see how much you matter, they risk rejection. They risk loss. They risk the exact pain they've been running from their entire life. So instead of reaching for you, they fold their arms. Instead of saying, I missed you, they act like your absence didn't matter. Instead of admitting they're afraid to lose you, they act like they could walk away first. It's a game of emotional camouflage. Hide the need, hide the fear, hide the love. But here's the secret no one tells you. The mask always cracks. You can't love someone deeply and hide it perfectly forever. And the avoidant knows this, which is why they live in constant tension, pulled between hiding what they feel and betraying themselves through the very signs they try to suppress. Think about it. Why do they linger in your presence when they could be anywhere else? Why do they notice little details about you, like your habits, your tone, your moods? If they claim not to care, why do they come back? After every attempt to pull away, it's because the mask may be powerful, but it's not airtight. Love leaks out, and if you know how to see it, you'll realize that every indifferent action is layered with hidden meaning. Let's break this down. The lingering look. Have you ever caught them looking at you just a second too long? Not the casual glance, not the distracted look, but the kind of gaze that feels like it slipped past their defenses. It's brief, almost imperceptible, but in that split second, you see the truth. You matter. You matter more than they want to admit. Because eyes don't lie, and the avoidance eyes tell the story. Their words are too afraid to say. The silent check-in. Avoidants hate appearing needy. They will rarely flood you with messages. They will rarely beg for your attention. But notice this. They'll ask small questions that don't really need answers. Did you eat today? Did you make it home? Are you okay? On the surface, it's casual. But beneath the surface, it's an attempt to tether themselves to you, without admitting they need the tether. It's care disguised as curiosity. And if you're important to them, these little check-ins will always appear. The subtle presence. When you mean something to the avoidant, they won't always announce it, but they'll show up quietly, consistently, almost invisibly. They'll fix something without being asked. They'll notice when you're stressed and give you space. They'll hover in the background while pretending they're not watching you. This is the avoidance language of love. Less about big declarations, more about quiet positioning. Because if they're near you, even when they act distant, it means you matter. The return, perhaps the most powerful crack in the mask, is their return. Avoidants are famous for pulling away, for disappearing, for creating distance when things get too close. But notice what happens afterward. They come back, sometimes slowly, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes without explanation, but they always find a way back into your orbit. And this is one of the clearest signs that you are not just another face in their life. Because if you were unimportant, they wouldn't return, they wouldn't check in, they wouldn't bother. The very fact that they circle back is proof that you're lodged in their heart, whether they admit it or not. So here's the truth about the mask of indifference. It's not designed to erase love. It's designed to protect it. The avoidant is not indifferent because you don't matter. They are indifferent because you matter too much. And letting you see that would make them feel dangerously exposed. That's why the most convincing "I don't care" often hides the deepest "I love you." And once you understand this, you'll stop falling for the performance. You'll start noticing the cracks, the signals, the tiny betrayals of their own mask. Because in every guarded silence, every hesitant glance, every quiet return, they are showing you the truth. You mean everything. The quiet signs of importance. If you wait for an avoidant to declare love with words, you'll be waiting forever. But if you learn their hidden language, their quiet signs, their subtle behaviors, you'll see the truth long before they ever say it. The avoidant doesn't show love loudly. They show it quietly, indirectly, through small actions that most people overlook. These are not random quirks. They are coded signals. Each one whispers, "You matter more than you know." Let's uncover them. Sign 1. The protective distance. It sounds backward, but distance is often their first form of care. When the avoidant pulls away, it's not always rejection. It's protection, both for themselves and for you. Inside, their emotions feel overwhelming. Love makes them anxious. Closeness makes them afraid. So instead of letting the chaos spill out, they retreat. This withdrawal is not because you don't matter. It's because you matter so much that the risk of messing it up terrifies them. The distance is their way of saying, "I need space to manage my fear, so I don't hurt you with it." It doesn't feel like love, but beneath the surface, that's exactly what it is. Sign 2. The involuntary attention. Watch closely, and you'll notice something strange. The avoidant claims indifference, but they notice everything. They notice when your voice shifts, when your mood changes, when you cut your hair, or sigh a little deeper than usual. They may not always comment, but they're watching. They're registering details most people would miss. Why? Because the people who don't matter fade into the background, but you are in the foreground of their awareness, even when they pretend otherwise. This constant observation is one of the clearest signs that you're important. They don't stare at what they don't care about. Sign 3. The practical acts of love. Avoidants are not great at grand gestures. They don't thrive on big emotional scenes, but they show care in ways that are practical, almost invisible. They'll fix something broken in your space without being asked. They'll step in to handle a problem before you even notice it's there. They'll remember that one random detail you shared months ago and quietly act on it when the time comes. These actions rarely come with fanfare. No big announcement, no spotlight, just quiet effort, slipping beneath the radar. To the untrained eye, it looks small, but to the avoidant, this is love in its purest form. Because doing something for you is safer than saying something to you. Sign 4. The reappearing presence. Here's a pattern you can't ignore. The avoidant disappears, but then they reappear. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. It's not random. It's not accidental. It's the gravitational pull of significance. If you weren't important, they wouldn't circle back. They wouldn't check in. They wouldn't bother bridging the silence. Every time they return, it's proof of the bond they can't sever. No matter how hard they try, This cycle is frustrating. It tests your patience, but it also reveals the truth. You are tethered to them more deeply than they want to admit. Sign 5, the emotional slip. Even the most guarded avoidant will slip sometimes. In a moment of vulnerability, a word escapes, a tone softens, an expression cracks their cool exterior. They might blurt out, "Be careful," when you leave. They might whisper, "I don't want to lose you," in the middle of a fight. They might call you when they're sick, lonely, or quietly breaking down. These moments are rare, but they are gold, because the avoidant does not slip with just anyone. Sign 6, the anchor effect. Even when they seem detached, you'll notice something else. Your presence steadies them. They may not say it out loud, but you become their anchor, the one they look to when life feels chaotic. It could be as subtle as them checking your reaction before they make a decision, or as obvious as them only relaxing when you're nearby. For someone who claims they don't need anyone, this reliance is huge. It means you've penetrated the mask. You've become more than just another connection. You've become central. Sign 7, the time investment. Avoidants value independence. They protect their time fiercely. They need solitude to recharge. So if they spend significant time with you, especially unstructured time, that's no small thing. If they linger, if they cancel other plans to see you, if they sit in your presence doing nothing, this is not casual. It's commitment in disguise. Because for the avoidant, time is more intimate than words. Giving it away is the biggest risk they take. Put all these signs together, and you see a pattern emerge. The avoidant may never confess love with fireworks. They may never deliver the grand speech. But through distance, attention, practical care, returns, slips, anchors, and time, they reveal the truth. You are not ordinary to them. You are not replaceable. You are the exception. And for the avoidant, being the exception means everything. Because if they let you into their hidden world, it's not by accident. It's by meaning, by weight, by love they are too afraid to name. When fear and love collide, love is not simple for the avoidant. It is not warm and easy. It is not a safe place to fall. Love for them is a battlefield, because every spark of connection lights up fear at the same time. Every moment of closeness activates the alarm inside their nervous system. They want you, but they also fear you. They need you, but they also push you away. This is the paradox of the avoidant. And when you are important to them, the paradox grows stronger. Love feels like danger. Most people feel comfort in being seen. The avoidant feels danger because being seen means being known, and being known means risking rejection. So when they care deeply about you, it doesn't bring ease. It brings terror. You notice it in their eyes. That flicker of conflict, that push-pull dance. They're drawn toward you, but terrified of being consumed. The inner tug-of-war. Imagine a rope pulled in two directions. One side is longing, the other side is fear. The avoidant lives at the center of this tension. When they lean in, fear yanks them back. When they retreat, longing pulls them forward again. This tug-of-war never stops, but it is most intense with the one person who truly matters. If you weren't important, the rope would go slack. There would be no struggle. The struggle itself is proof of your significance. Why distance feels safer? For the avoidant, distance feels like oxygen. It gives them room to breathe, room to quiet the storm. But the distance is not an absence of love. It's a survival tactic. It's the only way they know to keep the bond alive without drowning in their own fear. So when they step back, it's not indifference. It's an attempt to save the connection by lowering the intensity to a level they can handle. Closeness feels like a trap. The closer you get, the more the avoidant panics. Not because you've done something wrong, but because closeness feels like a trap they can't escape from. To them, intimacy equals loss of freedom, and freedom equals safety. So they cling to independence, even when their heart craves connection. This contradiction confuses you. It hurts, but it also explains everything. Their withdrawal is not about you lacking value. It's about them drowning in their own fear of losing control, the mask of indifference. To hide the chaos inside, the avoidant wears a mask. They act cool, detached, unbothered. But behind the mask is a storm. They replay your words at night. They overanalyze their own reactions. They feel the ache of missing you more than they'll admit. The mask is not truth. It's camouflage, and they only bother wearing it because you matter enough to unsettle them. Why they test you? Ever notice how the avoidant sometimes pushes too far? They cancel plans last minute. They disappear without warning. They act colder than they feel. This is not random cruelty. It's a test, a way of asking, without asking, will you still be there if I'm difficult? Will you leave me like everyone else did? Or will you prove that I'm safe to love? These tests are exhausting, painful, unfair, but they are also evidence that you matter enough for them to wrestle with their deepest fears. In your presence, fear and love side by side. For the avoidant, love does not erase fear. The two live side by side, twisting together, shaping every interaction. If you wonder why they're hot and cold, why they come close only to retreat, why they say one thing and do another, this is why. It's not inconsistency, it's collision. Fear and love colliding, again and again, inside their chest. And the louder the collision, the more you know. You're not just another face in their world. You are the one who pulls both sides of their heart at once. Your importance is hidden in their struggle. Most people see the withdrawal, the coldness, the testing, and assume it means rejection. But for the avoidant, the struggle itself is the clearest proof of love. If you weren't important, they wouldn't fight themselves. They wouldn't wrestle with longing and fear. They wouldn't risk the discomfort at all. It's precisely because you matter so much that the battle inside them burns so fiercely. Fear and love collide, but love is there, always there, woven into the very conflict itself. You may not hear it in words. You may not see it in grand gestures, but when fear rises in their presence of you, that fear is tethered to love and the fact that they keep coming back again and again, despite the chaos, means the love wins more often than they realize. Silent language of love. The avoidant will rarely say it outright. I love you. You matter to me. You're the one I can't let go. Those words feel too heavy, too binding, too dangerous. But silence is not emptiness. Silence is their language. When they cannot speak, they show. When they cannot confess, they express in ways only the careful observer sees. This is the silent language of love. It is a language of presence, of small gestures, of fleeting moments that most people would overlook. It is not loud, it is not grand, but it is real, and it is how you know you mean everything to them. They hover at the edges of your life, not close enough to suffocate, but not far enough to vanish. They may text you a random detail, something they noticed, something you once mentioned weeks ago. That memory is proof. They hold on to your words, carry them quietly, and return them to you in fragments. It seems small, it seems insignificant, but for the avoidant, it is monumental. They do not remember everything. They do not replay every interaction. But when it comes to you, they store pieces in hidden corners of their mind. Your laugh, Your favorite song, the way you sip your coffee, the exact shade of jacket you wore, the night they first realized you mattered. These fragments live inside them, and though they rarely say it, their remembering is a declaration. You are important enough to leave an imprint on me. They also protect you in subtle ways. You may never see it, but when others criticize, they defend you, not loudly, not in a grand, heroic speech, but in a quiet deflection, in a silent boundary. The avoidant who shrinks from conflict will suddenly find courage when your name is at stake. That is not coincidence. That is love, dressed in silence. They sacrifice without announcing it. They give up small comforts, shift schedules, make compromises they would never admit to. They will act as though it was nothing, as though it didn't cost them. But the truth is, it cost them more than they can say. And still, they chose it. For you, their love is not performed. It is concealed. But concealed love is still love. The silence can be frustrating. The lack of clarity can feel like rejection. But listen closely, and the silence speaks. It speaks in the way they remember details. It speaks in the way they orbit your life. It speaks in the way they protect you, even when you're not watching. It speaks in the sacrifices they'll never admit were for you. They will not say, "You mean everything," but they will live it in whispers. And if you notice, you'll see their silence is louder than words. Unspoken confession. The avoidant rarely says it outright. They don't sit you down, look you in the eyes, and admit you mattered. But their silence isn't absence of meaning. It's a language of its own, one they never learned to speak aloud, but one they've always felt inside. The unspoken confession is this: you broke through. You reached the part of them that no one else has ever touched. They won't tell you that directly, because to admit it is to admit they need someone. And need feels like weakness. Need feels like danger. Need feels like being a child again, crying out, but no one coming. So instead, they cover it. They disappear. They stay quiet. They act like nothing happened. But silence has layers. If you listen closely, their withdrawal speaks louder than any "I love you" ever could. Because if you never mattered, they wouldn't need to run. If you were just another face, another body, another story, they could stay. Indifference doesn't require distance. It doesn't require escape. It doesn't require hiding. Running is not indifference. Running is fear. Fear of what they feel for you. And that fear is the confession they'll never say aloud. Think back. The way they paused before answering your texts. The way their eyes softened for a fraction of a second when you touched their hand. The way they pulled away. Not because they felt nothing, but because they felt everything. That was the unspoken "you matter." That was the unsaid "I see you." That was the silent "I love you." They could never risk voicing. It's hard, isn't it, to realize the love was there, but buried under walls you couldn't tear down. It makes you question yourself. Was it real? Did I imagine it? Was I holding on to shadows? But deep down, you know the truth. You felt it in the rare moments. When the mask slipped. The rare nights. When their guard came down. When their laughter sounded freer. When their touch lingered longer. When you caught them staring at you, like you were the only person in the world. That was the confession. That was the truth they couldn't say. The tragedy of the avoidant heart isn't that they don't love. It's that they can't stay. Love to them feels like drowning, like being consumed, like losing themselves in you. So they hide, they retreat, they vanish, and you're left with questions, while they're left with silence. But here's the secret. That silence holds the answer. If you didn't matter, they wouldn't need to hide from you. Their distance is not a measure of your worth. It's a measure of how much They were shaken by your presence. You wanted words. You wanted closure. You wanted the clean sentence. You mattered to me. But life rarely gives us tidy endings. Love, especially avoidant love, doesn't fit into perfect sentences. Sometimes the confession isn't spoken at all. It's felt. It's remembered. It's carried with you long after they're gone. And so the question becomes, what do you do with that unspoken confession? Do you wait for them to return, hoping they'll one day say it? Do you hold on to the silence as proof of love unfulfilled? Or do you accept what it was, take the truth in its quiet form, and release yourself? Because the unspoken confession isn't just about them, it's about you. It's about recognizing that you were enough to stir the guarded heart. And if you were enough for them, you will be more than enough for someone who is ready. Healing doesn't come from waiting for the words they'll never say. It comes from understanding that their silence already said it all. The love was there. It just wasn't free. And you deserve love that is free, love that speaks, love that stays. So let their silence be their confession. Let their distance be your answer. Let their absence be your closure. Because the most powerful truth is this: you were never unimportant. You were simply unforgettable to someone who couldn't hold on. And now, it's your turn to hold on to yourself. If this spoke to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear the truth about love, silence, and healing. And if you're ready to keep growing, to keep uncovering the hidden patterns that shape the way we love, stay with us here, because you're not alone. And together, we'll keep finding the words for what others leave unspoken.